Hey there, this is your pal Pally, and welcome back to Git Er Raid. Time to get crazy and avoid lasers, magnets, missiles, and mines. Oh my. Welcome to the Siegecrafter Blackfuse Heroic 25-Man Guide. There's a lot to cover in this guide, and there are a lot of perspectives you'll be seeing. But first, as always, we need to say the generally accepted numbers for tanks and healers. 2 tanks are absolutely necessary, and this fight is mostly for yield. If you have a high amount of DPS, or some good composition that allows you to use less people on the conveyor belt, you could bring additional healers. But besides the strong take damage in the encounter, there are just bursts of healing that can be covered by 4 healers. So I just mentioned the conveyor belt, and that's one of your major strategy decisions that affects just about everything in the fight for you. It's also a major change for heroic mode. As usual, 3 weapons roll out, and you have to decide which one to kill per belt. The ones you don't kill, of course, come to life on the other side of the room, and do nasty things to those still on the platform with the boss. The change for Heroic is that they do even nastier things, sometimes. Yay! Essentially, when the assembled weapons come out, they will either be just like normal mode, or they will be overcharged by the boss. So let's take each weapon in turn, and give you the changes if a weapon gets overcharged. For the overcharged missiles, 3 missiles come down and do their Ragnaros wave type thing that knocks you into the air, just like normal mode. Unfortunately, you have to actually kill the missile itself where it lands, or it will continue to pulse out more and more shockwaves, screwing your raid positioning royally. Overcharged mines decide to have babies. On 25-man, 8 large mines come out, and each time you destroy the big mines, they split into 2 smaller mines. All this really means is it's time to do some huge AoE and slowing to keep the massive amount of mines off your raid. Getting hit by a mine is a huge no-no here. Overcharged lasers is actually one of the easier ones to deal with, although it makes the platform look nastier. Essentially, the laser splits into 3 and covers a large part of the platform in fire. The areas covered are the same every time, so it's not so bad. It just limits your movement if you screw up the other portions of the fight, like saw blades. Lastly, the overcharged magnet pulls you in doing AoE damage, but will also reverse polarity and push you away from the magnet. While that doesn't sound too bad on the surface, recognize that the saw blades also get pulled and pushed around, and can slice back and forth through your raid if you aren't in the right place to avoid them. So those are the big mechanic changes for the main platform. Before moving into strategy, let me mention the heroic change for the conveyor belt. The lasers move. Yeah, it sucks, but it's predictable. The opening in the lasers will move from right to left, so you can plan ahead on when to move through. Get through quickly, as the opening doesn't last long either on heroic. As I mentioned earlier, your choice of what to do on the belt with the weapons dictates your strategy. I can only describe in detail the approach my raid group took, but recognize there are other strategies that are completely valid. My raid group chose to prioritize the missiles as much as possible. If there are no missiles, they would kill the mines, and on the last belt we would kill the laser. Many valid strategies kill the mines as much as possible to avoid having to AoE the crap out of them. They'll deal with the missiles by positioning the boss on the landed missile and cleaving it quickly. Pick your poison here. Regardless of strategy, once you settle on one, you'll get a predictable set of overcharged weapons from Siegecrafter. So in our strategy, it broke down like this. I'll leave this list up for a bit and post it in the comments for reference. So let's dive into the approach to the main platform with the boss. For tanks, I'll explain their strategy in detail a little later, but generally consists of tank swapping for the shredders and keeping in range of healers as the raid moves around. On the pull, the boss is moved over towards the conveyor belt on the right side of the room. This is done to allow mines and other mechanics to be dealt with quickly with cleave. The raid starts over here except for any warlocks you have. Warlocks provide portals to the back of the room, and you don't want those despawning if some of the belt team requires them for quick movement. The general approach on the platform is that lasers and saw blades need to be placed either to the left or behind the raid as you are facing the boss and the right side conveyor belt. The first two saw blades are fairly important to be placed in the same general area to be used by the tank to help kill the first shredder. Responding quickly to both lasers and saw blades is super key for the platform team. You generally want to scoot little by little to the right side as you are looking at the boss. So taking a look at the raid markers down here, you see people move from between purple and green all the way across to red. As you watch the footage, you see people dropping saw blades to the left of the raid and trying to kite the lasers back and away from the raid to not limit the space. This general movement pattern continues until you get an overcharged electromagnet. At this point, the raid will group up over here near the red raid marker to avoid the saw blades. The damage is pretty regular here, so if you want to blow some raid CDs in this area, you can. But you might also want to save some for any overloads from the shredders when it has high stacks. You'll get overcharged electromagnets after belt number 3, 5, 8, and 12, so this sort of sets your pattern for movement. Keep going left to right, then group up for an overcharged magnet. After it's done, head back as far left as you can, and repeat. So that covers the basics of raid positioning. Now let's talk mines. If you choose the strategy that I'm detailing here, mines are going to be your biggest pain in the arse. Strong AoE classes are great here, as well as classes with blanket slows like DKs, mages, and hunters. No matter what's going on, mines are everyone's responsibility to control. Remember, you'll have 8 big ones hopping down, and after each one of them is dispatched, you'll get another 2 small ones. If the raid is generally aligned, the mines should be fairly grouped up to be slowed, stunned, and AoE'd down. What is a big pain is that mines can fixate on melee DPSers, and if they aren't careful, that can result in a lot of explosions. Range should have the responsibility to blow up mines in general, and melee just needs to help out as much as they are able to without getting in trouble with the fixates and explosions. Get used to it, you'll be doing this a lot. One last tip here, if you have any engineers, have them put on the EMP Tinker on their belt and use it for mines. It doesn't share a DR with any other stun, and it will be up for a good portion of the mines. So that's about it for the general main platform strategy. Go left to right, group up on the side of the platform when the overcharged magnet is out, and place saw blades and lasers to the left or behind the group. Kill mines, and kill some more mines. Now on to tanks. This ain't your mama's simple tank swapping for a debuff fight. In general, what you're aiming to do is kill the shredder right after a death from above when he is vulnerable. This can also be done with a shredder in range of the boss and healing, so you have to bust out some major cooldown juggling in terms of surviving high stacks, as well as DPS cooldowns to kill the shredder before the next one spawns. Given that I wasn't a tank here, I solicited our tank's advice on what they did. Here are the major points. First up, surviving a boss frenzy is no joke. Be ready whenever a weapon is destroyed on the conveyor belt or a shredder is defeated. The boss will be swinging hard. Now as to the stacks, here is a general rundown. Tank A gets 3 stacks and grabs the first shredder. Uses any saw blades away from the boss to kill it. Tank B takes 2 stacks. Tank A taunts off and gets 2 more stacks, putting them at 5 to easily slaughter the next shredder. Tank B takes a 3rd stack. Tank A gets a 6th stack very carefully and kills the 3rd shredder. Tank B takes the next 3 stacks, putting them at 6. Tank B tails the next shredder. Tank A loses their stacks, Tank B loses their stacks too. Tank A goes back up to 5 stacks, kills the next shredder. From here, it's the same. Tank B gets a couple of stacks, then lets Tank A get back up to 5, kill shredders, etc., etc. Around the time of the last shredder, some tank will have 6 stacks and can kill the shredder, but it's probably more useful to just kill the boss at this point. We're talking 13th belt time at this juncture. Another key point is to try and help out with some vengeance stacking. So for example, if you are supposed to taunt off at 5 stacks for the next shredder but it's not out yet, let them keep tanking until the shredder is out or a 6th stack is about to be applied. This way there is even more damage going out to that shredder to kill it quickly. Note that tank's job here are fairly important. If shredders don't die quickly, you get more overloads, which taxes your healers. Work all of this out as much as you can ahead of time with tanks, and be ready for external cooldowns for the application of the 5th and 6th stacks on either tank. Last point to mention with respect to tanks is that positioning death from above is hard to do. The Shredder is janky in its movements, so it's almost better to just call out to melee to move than to try to drag it away and then back in for the extra cleave. Melee, good luck watching for this, plus mines, plus all the fire. Volunteer for belt duty if you can. Just kidding, it's doable, obviously. We had a fairly melee-heavy group for the kill, so just be aware and you'll be fine. Now that the tanks are good to go, I think we're near the end here. DPS-wise, you strive to kill him as the 13th belt is happening, if not sooner. He enrages at 10 minutes, and it's a pretty quick enrage and slaughter to your raid. After the 12th belt, you will regain the belt team to help finish him off, so just don't panic and dodge some missiles and beat him down. Lust is best used on the pull, as everyone will be minimally moving at the start and can get a good burn in before the fun stuff starts to happen. You might even just send 2 or 3 people up to do the belt on the pull, because they'll have the benefit of their pre-pot and lust. It could let the other few people on the belt team assist in burning him lower, which is obviously a good thing for ending the fight earlier. So that's all for this guide on Siegecrafter Heroic. Tanks, work out your taunt rotation, survive high stacks, and survive boss frenzies, while also avoiding all of the crap in the area. Healers, don't panic, watch tanks, and keep the raid ticking back up in between overloads, and use cooldowns during magnetic crushes. DPS, place saw blades and lasers in the appropriate positions, blow up mines, and do your best not to panic with all the crap going on. And that's a big key. Don't panic, execute, and you'll get this done. Here are the healing and DPS meters from a recent kill for comparison's sake. I'd also like to thank some contributors to this guide, as I was on the conveyor belt the entire time, so most of these perspectives aren't mine, obviously. Kayara, Sonfal, and Hexudo are the raid point of views you saw. Assistance writing the guide came from the strategy thread in the guild's forums. Specific tank points came from Agathon and Black Lungs. Thanks, you guys. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe to the video if you found it helpful, and have a good one!